All right, so now let's go to the questions about what they're actually asking us. Remember, the most important part so far is that our solution is only that dark part. So honestly, let's use yellow. This line here is solid. This line here is dashed. And that's going to matter in terms of our answers. All right, so let's go ahead and start with both boundary lines are included. Remember, boundary line just means the lines, the two lines that we just graphed. They are both not included because that dashed one is not included. So A is not true. B, all points on one boundary line are included. So that would be our solid line, while all points on the other are excluded. That is true because that's the dashed line. That does not work. So B is B is true. C, -4, 2 satisfies both inequalities. So let me go and see. -4, 1, 2, 3, -4, 2, 1, 2. That lies on the dashed line, which means it is not included. So that is not true. D, solutions lie in all 4 quadrants. Now, it doesn't mean they have to, like every single quadrant has to be completely maxed out. Now, here's where it gets a little confusing. This is quadrant 1, this quadrant 2, quadrant 3, quadrant 4. So that is true. All points in quadrant 3 satisfy both inequalities. So quadrant 3 is 1, 2, this one. Oops, right there. And I can tell you right now, that just looks orange. So all points in quadrant 3 do not satisfy both inequalities. They would have to be that dark green color. So that does not make sense. -1, 1 is a solution to the system. So let's look. -1, 1. Once again, that is on the dashed line. So that does not work. All right, let's look at 1, 1. So 1, 1. That's just in the blue. Actually, does that? Yeah, that's just in the blue. So that doesn't work. So no. Solution to the systems lie in quadrants 1, 2, and 3. Well, yep. 1, 2, and 3. That works. And then finally, 0, -2 is a solution to both linear inequalities. So I can look. 0, -2 would be down here. And once again, that is on the dashed line. So that does not work. All right, let's go to the next one. Absolute value. The first thing we need to do is get that absolute value by itself. So this is 5 times the absolute value. So I need to get rid of it by dividing by 5. So now I have the absolute value of 3 minus 2x is greater than or equal to 5 divided by 5 is 1. All right, so let's take that absolute value over here. And now we have to split it up. This is 3 minus 2x is greater than or equal to 1, and 3 minus 2x, switch the inequality, do the opposite. Opposite of 1 is -1. Now I solve. Subtract 3. -2x is greater than or equal to 1 minus 3 is -2. And I divide both sides by -2. When I divide by a negative, I flip. -2 divided by -2 is 1. So that's one solution. Over here, subtract 3. -1 minus 3 is -4. And divide both sides by -2. I flip. -4 divided by -2 is a +2. All right, so now let's go to our number line. Let's just do 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, so if I go to 1, it's a closed circle pointing to the left. If I go to 2, it's a closed circle pointing to the right. And now before I can move on, I need to know if this is an or or an and, because that changes up the game. This is a gray tor, so this is an or, so that's good to go. Any of those solutions on any of it that's pointing is good to go. So for set notation, I would say x, for all x, I take the smaller number first, which is 1, is less than or equal to 1, or x is greater than or equal to 2. For interval notation, I'm using all my negative infinity numbers. 1, it's a closed circle, so bracket, union, bracket, 2, infinity, parenthesis. All right. It's 4 times the absolute value of all that, so I need to divide by 4. So I have the absolute value of 2x minus 3 is less than 16 divided by 4 is 4. All right, now I break it up. 2x minus 3 is less than 4. Excuse me. And then 2x minus 3, flip your sign, make that 4 negative. Okay, now let's solve. Add 3. Divide by 2. Over here, add 3. And divide by 2. All right. Let's do -1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, if you look in your calculator, 7 divided by 2 is 3.5. So I need to put 7.5 in between 3 and 4. So it's an open circle going to the left. Then I do the other one. -1/2, I hope we know, is -0.5. So that's in between 0 and -1. That's an open circle. And that one's going to the right. Once again, I got to determine if this is an and or an or to proceed. This is a less than, so and, which means intersection. So this is not my final graph. I have to move it back up. My zeros can, or my zeros, my dots can stay the same. And then just put your only in there. I should not see any arrows in your final solution. For set notation, this is an and, so I got to put them back together. Your smaller, let's take your greater number. So x is less than 7/2. And then -1/2 is over here. Point at the x, there we go. So for our set, we would say x for all -1/2 is less than x less than 7/2. For interval notation, I start at this point, it's a parenthesis because it's an open circle, and that was -1/2. And then I stop at 7/2 open circle. That is also a parenthesis. Write and graph the following inequality. All right, you tutor Spanish for $15, so X is going to be Spanish. You tutor French for $10. You want to earn at least $100 per week. Write and graph an inequality that describes your goal in terms of hours spent tutoring Spanish and hours spent tutoring French. Identify and interpret one of the solutions. All right, so X is Spanish. Y is French. And then now we got to determine. Okay, so money, money, money. So 15x plus 10y. Our other money amount was 100. You want to learn at least. Remember, at least means greater than or equal to. Greater than or equal to. All right, now here's where a lot of people go wrong because they're thinking to themselves, well, what's my other one? There is no other number. So this is only just a single inequality that you have to write and graph. You're done. That's your inequality. Now we have to graph it. The only way to graph it, or well, the best way to graph it is to turn it into slope-intercept. So I subtract 15x. 10y is greater than or equal to -15x plus 100. And I divide by 10. Y is greater than or equal to -3/2 x plus 10. Okay, so now I can graph it. I go to +10 on the y-axis, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And my slope is -3/2. So down 3, 1, 2, 3, over 2. Down 3, over 2. And you can keep going if you want to. It's got that equal sign under there, so it's a solid line. And then I use my test point 0, 0. So, is 0 greater than or equal to 10? No, that is false. So I go the opposite way. So I take my highlighter and I highlight the opposite. Now, don't forget, right here it says, identify and interpret one of the solutions. You can pick any point in that entire yellow shaded area, or on the line because it's a solid line. That boundary line is included. So let's just use this little guy. I don't know. So that point is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That point is 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. Remember, my X was Spanish, my Y is French. So one thing that I could do if I wanted to make at least $100 per hour is tutor 6 hours in Spanish and 5 hours in French. And I'm guaranteed to make $100 or more. And that's it.